Hey guys, thanks for joining me for today's lesson. Today we're talking about right hand technique and everything from holding the pick to playing with alternating pick strokes. So now looking at the way I hold my pick, I'm going to take my pick like this and point it downward. I'm using a blue chip, the TAD 50, and I'm going to put my thumb across it like this, and that's about how much pick is sticking out. And then with my index finger on the other side, see how I'm curling my index finger, and it's really the side of that knuckle that is also gripping the pick. So this is what it looks like from the top view, and you can even see my index finger sticking out down here a little bit. Another helpful trick that I figured out later on when I started using this size pick for my grip, like when I grab the pick and I try to get my grip on it, I noticed that the side of the pick touches on the next joint of my thumb. And that's where I know the pick can't go any further in. And also it helps when I move my thumb like this, that helps grab onto the pick and lets me know exactly where it is. Now, as far as the other fingers go, when you have your pick in your hand, normally what I do is keep my fingers in, and we'll talk about that when we look at it from the front side. Let's focus on just playing with an open D, for instance. You can see that, using these different, we've got that natural angle created with the angle of the string with the parallel pick angle to the floor. We're just playing a slow tempo. We're looking for tone, stability, the consistency in tone, consistency in volume, and consistency in precision, all of these things. So what I'm going to do is just really practice pulling tone. And you can see that there's different ways to do this. Really, I would suggest for now, you want to have the pick starting out really close, basically touching the string before you go for the pick stroke and go for the sound, playing through the string. Just before everyone, put the pick on the string. Now, the better you get at that, the what you'll discover is that because when I put the pick on the string, it kind of mutes it and it keeps the previous note from ringing. What you get better at is just knowing where the string is so that you can gently approach the string and then attack properly. But keep in mind, you don't want to start from far away and then attack. That's really kind of like creating problems for precision. You want to start out really tight and efficient and being close to the string right before when you're starting your pick stroke. We are using our wrist here on the underside of our wrist and kind of these points, the bones of my hand, like at the bottom of my hand, kind of where my wrist starts. That's what I'm using as a reference point here on the strings on the back side, on the tailpiece side of the bridge. And we're going for tone and the consistency and the stability and the good volume and precision. Another thing that I want to talk about as well is the wrist. This is a really important part of the conversation. What part of my, we have these different fulcrums and these different, our elbow joint and then our wrist and even your fingers. So the technique really comes down to you're mainly using your wrist to articulate the notes. So see how I'm moving my wrist like this? And my thumb, we know my thumb and first finger are what's stabilizing the pick. Sometimes you can tell that I do kind of move my thumb and first finger, but that's not as much intentional as it is just feeling and having a finesse for the strings, and kind of as I move my hand to locate where, what string I'm playing on, I may manipulate with my thumb and first finger slightly to kind of make that a smoother transition. But I would say as you're general rule, what you want to do is articulate with your wrist, especially at these slower to medium tempos. Later, we're going to talk about the different techniques for playing fast, and that's actually not as much wrist as it is kind of arm rotation. But for now, we're talking about, see how I'm articulating this with my wrist movement? To get a proper tone, we were talking about like the angle of the pick and like how your fingers are, maybe letting the pick move or something, slightly. But at the end of the day, you have to be holding on to the pick strong enough to counteract, to really overcome the resistance of the string. Because the pick, at the end of the day, it's the pick that's overpowering the string and moving the string and then sliding off of the string at the point, which is making that pop sound. Right? Something that I've discovered that a way to think about this is that really you're just tightening your grip on the pick, and it really kind of happens like I may have kind of a loose grip on the pick, and that allows the pick to move. See how like it allows it to where that point is now pointing up towards my face. But then if I tighten my grip on the pick, then it makes it more rigid and it straightens out and it digs into the string. So if I'm already, let's say that I'm playing like a single note out of, I'm not in the middle of like constant eighth notes or something. I can have that kind of, let's say, looser grip on the string, and I'm touching the string. But then when I tighten my grip on my index finger and thumb, it's almost that tightening that drives the pick through the string. It just depends. I think that if you're playing very slowly, like very sparse, just single notes, I can feel the finesse so much more when I'm using almost my thumb and index finger, not bending them like this, but I'm just choosing, like I have my pick on the string and then I'm choosing when to make it rigid and put more pressure and tighten my grip on the pick. And then that is what's driving the pick through the string. Now, I would say though, what we're going to look at later is that when you're playing something that's like a medium tempo, what you do is that you have a little bit more of a rigid grip on the pick with your thumb and index finger. And then it's the articulation of the wrist that is. So now we're going to talk about specifically alternating pick strokes. That's really critical for speed and playing eighth notes and 16th notes and anything faster. So we're going to use the same D scale, which we did with downstrokes. Now, what we're going to be exercising is this ability to play down through the string and up and making it sound consistent. You want both of those down and upstrokes to sound, really the same volume and same power the most you can. And I would say that at first, as if you're a beginner, then you really are going to be exercising these movements slowly. So even the same tempo, you can say. But the truth is, what you'll see when you get more proficient is that if you were actually going to be playing a song that's that slow, you would really be using downstrokes. So let's say that it's like, for instance, that's fast enough that I don't want to be doing. I mean, you could. Maybe there's some instance where you might do something like that, but we're specifically talking about developing this alternating pick stroke, right? So what we're going to talk about later are these different tempos and how I'm going to approach my technique with my right hand to accommodate for playing at faster tempos. But for now, try to use your wrist and play with the good volume and the consistency and the stability up as fast as you can go, I would say, but don't sacrifice tone. Use a comfortable tempo to just work on that, practicing and developing that muscle memory.